Whoa. So, hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to Andromeda 7, the gateway. So, I have a little, I mean, that music, I have to like regroup myself because it will literally just take me instantly away. So, you
Whoa,
might, my
what?
son actually,
Yeah.
it does. It's like got that energy into it that just, oh, you gotta
Speaking
be
to the
careful.
land.
Yeah, speaking to my spirit for real. So you guys, thank you so much. We have a very, very, very special show tonight for everybody. So we have Kieron, which is Julie Ann's nephew, correct? Okay, so we have a very special guest with us tonight, and we will greet him. But first, we want to welcome everybody in the chat. Elderberry, let's see, Neil Parkinson, Nina the Mystic's in the house, Grandpa
Hi,
Brian. Hi, you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Steve, Slightly Slanted Sleuth. Who else is all up in here? Let's see. Let me make sure I got everyone.
Audrey.
Oh, Brenda. Hi,
Yep,
Audrey. Hi,
Doug Stout.
Brenda. Delaney Earl Jones. Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Doug Stack. Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So let's get on with the good stuff because we have a lot of information and a lot of good things from a beautiful soul that I am so excited to hear from. So Kieron, as our honored guest, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Yora. My name is Kieron Poonah. I'm a First Nations custodian and caretaker of a few different nations on the southeast Queensland of Australia. I'm a Quandamooka, Kullilli, and Wakka Wakka man, which is comprised of different nations throughout Queensland mainly, and just over the border into the New South Wales Northern Rivers region through my grandmother's bloodlines. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh.
We're so happy to have
honor.
you.
It's such an honor. It's such an honor. Now I know you have a restaurant there too that does, the local, you try to source everything locally. So like what kind of spices, what kind of dishes do you create?
Yeah, so as you said, I've got a First Nations food business where I showcase and create food using ancient and old techniques from the land and the sea and the sky, and infuse flavors and ingredients that I foraged by hand from the land. My people and my tribal people we still eat custodian, sort of the old original animals. So we still eat kangaroo. We still eat emu.
What's your favorite dish?
What is your favorite dish?
What do you love to cook and make and to eat?
I love all
hard one, huh?
All of it.
Seafood, right? Seafood.
I love seafood.
Yeah.
I live by the salt water. It's connected through the salt water through my grandmother, and then the fresh water comes through my grandfather. So in between, I've got the both salt and fresh blood. But living on the coast or a coastline, accessible to pristine seafood, because Moreton Bay, where my people are from, it's one of the oldest pristine bays in the world. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow.
And it still holds.
It's your grocery store right out there, huh?
Outstanding.
Get what you need. Yeah. I love that.
Exactly right.
Fresh and good for you.
Freshest and closest to the land as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is just it's a dying art, it seems. So to have people, continuing the old ways, the original ways, is so refreshing and liberating and energizing to hear that that's still going on. It kind of just gives us a little bit of hope that we still have this deep sacred connection to how we, interact with the earth and the land, and how we consume and recycle all of that energy. You know, we take that energy in, and it comes back, and we give it back, and it's a give and take, an equal
cyclical
give and take.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Crystal. I mean, can
exactly.
the energy, the love and the energy in that food itself, just from collecting it in nature where it hasn't been touched and processed and chemicals, and you know, and the traditional ceremonial, I would imagine, part that you put in it to appear and to collect it, right? And how you gather it, the energy, use for that, and then actually building the dishes and putting that same energy and love into the dishes that you create. So just, I want to eat that food.
Yeah, Kieron,
Me too.
deliver? Can you deliver to Tennessee,
I'll send
please?
some over.
Oh, I wish I'll just come visit in the ethereal, because oh my gosh, my mouth is watering just thinking of how amazing
that's the main law that our people within Australia and the First Nation custodians of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait, the first and number one rule is only take what you need to eat. So it's only killing to eat or harvesting to eat, and it's living in that sustainable balance with the law system and the sacredness behind the animals and the things that are growing those animals, and the sky country and the earth country and the sea, and how it all intertwines as one law. And then having First Nations people to have custodians and yuris to nations. So I'm a caretaker of many totemic systems here in Australia. And this is a system that was put in place 1,000 years ago, since time immemorial, where the animals were treated with respect, the land was treated with respect, the sea was treated with respect, the sky, all in balance. Because when you have the totemic animal to honor, it's always making sure the other person that would want to eat that food or gather that food or hunt that food, it would be doing it in the most harmonious way that could be. And it's all that system and that law. When we talk about law here in Australia, it's LORE. So, and it's the big system which we fall under. Yeah.
You're definitely related to Jules.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, as stewards, we're supposed to steward and have a relationship with our mother. So we are an integral part of all of these systems, and we are to honor and respect what we do to get that energy and to give back some of that energy in a harmonious way. So I think it's an integral part of being a good human being, as understanding how the land is producing, what all the beings that it takes to produce it, and how you are at like this pivotal point of stewardship and accountability, responsibility, not taking too much. I mean, I lost almost 40 pounds just by eating from the land and not eating stuff from the store so much. I mean, I very infinitesimal from the store and so much more
your
from
own gardens.
The land. Yeah.
I did similar journey. Yeah, it's only Jules. I was a young fella, pretty solid.
And he went back to country, didn't you? He went he was born in the town where I am, and then he went back to his grandmother's roots, which is the island. Not my mother, but his father's side of the family. It's my sister that's his mother, and his father is the Aboriginal line. Okay, but I just want to say, Wanya Boyangari. Is that right, Kieron?
Wanya.
So it's welcome. Come with me. Or come.
Yeah.
Take me. I'll go.
Kieron,
You're yours.
Kieron, you have a catering service too, right? Where you have you take people on tours and tell stories of the storylines and.
Yeah, exactly. So, part of the work that I'm doing at the moment is sharing the stories and the songlines through tours, and like very intimate tours. None of this sort of larger scale, very intimate, where people can really group on and grasp onto what I'm sharing with them, and really hone in and honor, and really just get a awakening from something so sacred, which I can share in a space like now through time.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's like on the island, there's a lot of active culture. We still practice, like I say, our song, our dance, our customs, our weaving, our artifact making. We are all living in that holistic system. But we obviously, with interruption, we've, through time, there is a bit of change has happened, with the culture, which we've seen all around the world. But we're bringing it, it's slowing down again, which is that really nice for the mother, and for what we say in our language is the Nari Bujong Jara, which is my mother Earth.
Earth, right?
Nari Bujong Jara, and she's our sacred Mother Earth and the keeper of the space and the land, because Stradbroke Island especially it's an island. So we're sitting on crystal axis, and when and I'll talk further along as we go through the creation and how the island actually came apart. When it all started sort of erupting back all them thousands of years ago. Yeah. So
great. But people
just start the story, Kieron. Just start the whole story.
We're I'm chomping at the bit right now.
I'd like to bring up a little map to show everybody the context of the environment that we're talking about. At least the map of your area and the tribal map. Then that's you with your tattoo of your tribe around your neck. Your aunt sent us that picture of you.
So with Australia now, we it's a kind of you could say maybe scarification, because we have ceremony within Australia, but on the East Coast it was lost due to colonization, and the practice of tattooing came in. So for a lot of First Nations mob within the coastlines, a lot of people hold their tribal names on their chest, which is called our juka, and it's our shield that's built inside of us when we're born onto the earth world, and that's what gives us our strength and our ownership and holds us up, and
integrity.
That's exactly.
It'd be like your breastplate, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So it's it's where all of your we call it's our juka, as such. Yeah.
And this is more south from you. Just below you is the coastline and the mountain ranges, and the Buffalo Mountain State Park or National Park. Look how close that is to Tasmania.
Wow.
Yeah. So some of the different tribes down that way, right, Poonah?
Yeah. So this area is it's a lot of the Arang people, and then within this tribal area there was a lot of First Nations areas, and they all took their name. So I'm a Quandamooka, Kullilli, Wakka. They taken from the Arang. So they have the Warang, the Darang, the Marang, the Wararangang, and it all takes from the different country where you are. So in Australia, we have over 350 First Nations lands. So up here on this map, we're not just one nation. Every, for instance, 10 kilometers or 30 miles you go into someone else's territory or nation. So similar to First Nations America with the Indian, with all the tribe and their states, we similar with our groupings, and our language changed as we went to different groupings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the language that Auntie Jules just spoke this morning, that's language from the Cubby Cubby. So that's further north where I am at the moment. So, but it changes, and that's how you would know who you were as such. So and that's how you could distinctly tell, like, oh, okay, so you live further north, and then if they spoke a different language, then you thought, oh, okay, well they live further south than me. And that's how it all intertwined with all the language groupings too, and then walking and going into other people's lands as such.
Right. Now, and you're getting ready to tell a story, but just so the folks out here know, there is something, is it called the storylines?
Yeah. So the
song lines. Okay.
Yeah. So the song lines and the storylines is where the creation's from. So this is back to the beginning of time. And then over 50,000 years, our knowledge has been verbally passed through to now to the generation where I am sitting here today. So this
50.
knowledge that's going to be shared is...
I have a question. So is this, in my mind, I'm thinking I should ask you, is this almost like the various translation of the beginning first vibrational sound?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So this is
that's that noise, the sound you heard in the music opening.
Yeah, that's it. That's the drone of that dig. That's where that sound comes from. So that's as you said, when you were feeling that feeling of elevation and transformation, that's that sound and that octave the octave there, that tone that we got for the intro.
Yeah.
That's the octave of the transformation. That's why I was like, when I heard it this morning, I was like,
that's right.
Whoa! Because there's 7 keys.
Good.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Mandy.
We have that.
Yeah.
We have that on the website under your section, so anybody who missed the show opening can go back and replay that, and they can hear it's almost the chakra from the throat chakra is very specific. Bring that sound back into the land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mandy, go ahead, darling.
Could I just ask? So it's, females are not allowed to play didgeridoos. Is that correct? And what instrument would a female then play under tribal law? Yeah, definitely. So within my First Nations lands, so where I'm a caretaker of, so the Quandamooka, Kullilli, and Wakka, our country, we can't. The women can't play the didgeridoo, but in our culture, we don't call it the didgeridoo. We call it the birro mantu. So the birro mantu is to blow sound from wood. So the didgeridoo was taken from the north, so that's a further northern word, the didgeridoo. So that's so then over time it just went to didgeridoo, and that's how we hear it now. So that's also part of sound and language, and where Auntie Jules and I, we connect through that with the way sound is had. So that's, again, it's passed over time and it's gone to that didgeridoo sound, but it was didgeridoo. So that's the different, the da, ba, ba, it's all a syllable. And then further around as we go to Western Australia, it was called the yiggy yiggy. Yiggy yiggy. And the yiggy yiggy people, or the keepers of the yiggy yiggy, the women were allowed to play it. Yeah. So there's stories and songline within Australia where women were, but I don't speak of that because I'm not from that nation either. And that's part of the cultural, respect for other people's nations.
Yes.
But within where I'm from, in the southeast Queensland region, when instead the women wouldn't play the women would play, the possum skin lap drum.
Ooh.
So the possum skin would be taken off of the animal. It would be then tanned, and then it would be placed over the women's legs. So they would pull it tight, and then it would be they put their legs in different widths. So there were 7 keys to the drum, and there's 7 keys to the didgeridoo. So the tightness of where your legs were positioned determined the key of the drum also. And that was the same thing with the sound. So the high key sound of the possum and the didgeridoo together is the ultimate tune of transformation.
It's amazing.
So there's a respect for divine feminine and divine masculine roles. So, you know, there's like these boundaries, and you work within your, you know, your energetic frequency of those divine properties. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's like, again,
like
that
you'd
just
be hitting, I guess, Kieron. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say with Crystal, I guess, Kieron, you'd be hitting with the 7 keys or notes with the 2 different instruments. You're hitting at the 7 main chakras then,
exactly.
You know. Yeah. And then with each of the chakras would go with, you know, all the different colors and how that all works. Okay.
That is exactly right.
Wow. You know, Brother Barry, Elder Barry, just sent me a text message, and he was making that sound, and it sounded just like the instrument, but I think it was his own voice. It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
He's actually making that. Hang on a second, because I didn't know you could do it to that extent without the what do you call the instrument?
With your voice, you mean?
Didgeridoo.
Yeah.
Didgeridoo.
Let's see if this can, because this is. That's Barry. Now listen.
That's
wait a minute.
good.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
That's Brother Barry.
That sounds like some techno.
Yeah.
Sounds like some techno I've heard.
I've never. Yeah, I mean that's pretty spot on. When you say
secret talents.
That's pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a one-man band. Elder Barry.
That is too awesome.
Crazy awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to get into this story because I've been chomping on the edge of my seat wanting to listen to your story. So go for it.
All right. So what I'll start off firstly with another like an introduction that we do for everyone before sort of we get into sort of ceremonial talk and sort of that higher dimension of talking in that space. So I'll just I think this should work. Can you hear that one?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yo yora yora nambale moro yolo bareba. Garing and dana me a joja mo pero no garing dana me a joja mo pero no garing and dana me joja mo pero no garing and dana me a joja mo pero no gaya man marang gay Yaya man marang yaya jago gunya no yaya man marang yaya jago gunya no pa prr da prr jatik.
That was awesome. Awesome.
Oh, that was incredible.
Wow, that gave me some goosey bumpies. That's incredible.
That song there is from my great grandmother's country through the Wakka Wakka bloodlines. So that song is almost, I could say 900 to probably 1,000 years old.
Wow, such a privilege to listen to that. Thank you.
And it's been passed through and then through and so on and so on and so on.
Wow.
To the next generation.
Yeah. Incredible. Oh.
Your way. So as I said, when we're on Stradbroke, we say Yura.
So that means to sort of say hello and welcome. And then when I'll go through and talk through language and like the creation story. And we'll go into talking about the rainbow serpent dreaming, which is Bujong the mother and Jalgun, so the rainbow serpent spirits, and the creation for what my people through the Southeast Queensland and what we believe, because as we've mentioned, there's many dreamings throughout Australia, but they have similarities, which all connects back now to science, and those 1,000-year-old stories. We're now seeing with the technology and the things that we can work with, to see that it's actually coinciding with the science and the 1,000-year-old stories. So, So firstly, I'll just sort of explain, who I am, my people, so on. So like Auntie Jules said, my father's a First Nations caretaker, and an Aboriginal man, and Auntie Julianne's sisters, my mother, Vicky, and I grew up on Gubby Gubby country, where Auntie Julianne is, up near the sacred birthing pools, where and the sacred country, which connects back to where I am, and I do my work from, and sort of living in that region until I was a teenager, and then decided to move over to where my grandmother's from, the Quandamooka region. And I've been based in Queensland and this region most of my life, and I've travelled through the desert. So I went to the Walpuri. I've been into the desert and I've done some bits and pieces out there, which I won't talk of, just because it's a bit deeper.
No joke out there. No joke out there.
But we could go into that in the future, with when we get some men on to get some manpower back in
We're supposed to have another guy on here with you, but it didn't work out. So.
It's all right, Kieron. You can hold your own, love.
That's right.
Oh, I can. And you can see I'm a bit of a joker. I'm
Runs
pretty
in the
chill.
family.
I love that. I love that.
Runs in the family.
What type of artists are we?
I would love to be sitting around a campfire with you and Jules. Non-stop laughing.
I'll tell you
our
what.
cheeks would hurt. Our bellies would hurt. Our cheeks would hurt.
Yeah, because when we get together, I go, have a look at this word, Kieron. What's that word for you, Kieron? Hey, Kieron, what's that word? And you can see the similarities. There is so many similarities in the language. It's Anyway, you get back to the creation story, Kieron.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, for the Southeast Queensland region, we have many tribes through this dialect, as we call it. So from the Sunshine Coast of or further up towards the Gympie region, we have the Gubby Gubby, and then further out west again we have the Wakka Wakka, where my people are from, and then we come into the Gubby Gubby region where I was birthed, and then we come down into the Yugambeh, so another nation, so Yugambeh, and then we have Quandamooka, and then Bunjalung. So all these nations throughout the Southeast Queensland region take a similar dreaming story or a creation story, which we all believed happened back when the creation was started as such. So these stories have been passed down through the bloodlines, and I'm the next keeper, you could say, or storyteller, or sharer, or whatever word you want to use, for sharing this the sacred knowledge, and honoring those ancestral bloodlines, and paying homage and you know, all the sacredness to them old people and these stories that have been here forever, as such. So yeah, we're over in the Quandamooka region, where we live on an island, which is a small, or you could probably say large island, but it's the second largest sand island in the world. The first largest sand island is north of where we are, and once upon a dream time, they was all connected as one, when the land mass was all one. So when the land mass was all one, we believe that there was a big eruption. So there was eruptions, and the dreaming stories throughout Australia have a lot of similar stories of eruption, and this is now taken back into science, and we look at that with volcanic eruption, and it's only in these probably the last, like we say, in the last few hundred years, where we're starting to talk deeper about these stories, because back when colonization happened here in Australia, the stories were kept inside because of many a conflict and other things that happened within the past, but we won't go there. Because there's so much more beauty that's still here within Australia as such. So we believe that the creator within our system is Bayami. So Bayami is the creator and the spirit keeper, and he was the one that kept he was just the sky creator as such, and we believe that he had sons. So he had 3 sons that were with him, and they were of the spirit and animal world. So they were created into animals and spirits, and we take these animals. There was the ibis, the brolga, and the koala, and these birds and these animals were the teachers, and they were the ones that went out and spread the message of the land that was about to be created. And over time, as they went through the land, they spread to the land and they planted their creations. And as their creations happened, we started to see the other animals interact into the space. So we started to see the dolphin, we started to see all the sea animals, the whales, the sharks, and they started to create through the water systems. Then we started seeing the animals further up in the sky, which were created, and then down we started seeing all the other snakes and the lizards and those animals that were starting to happen. So those animals were then given the teachings to then go out and teach the plants then how to live in harmony. So when they were seeding and coming to life and living all under this one law system, how can I sort of take this to the next? When over time we started seeing the creation and the world starting to happen, and then what happened was, we believe that the dolphin and the carpet snake, which is my 2 totems of my people, the Quandamooka people, the carpet snake and the dolphin were given a job on the land and the sea and the sky to caretake for and to live in harmony with each other as so, but the balance started to get erupted. And over time, as few things like greed and wealth and other bits started to happen over time. So this is all over timelines. If you talk about timelines, this was since we started, and then we go into then say starting into the 100 years of the beginning. So then over the next 100 years, the 2 brothers, they weren't living and caring for the land on which was being created here. So Bayami, the creator, he called to the other spirit spiritual keepers of the sky country and the other animals, and he said, what are we going to do about the dolphin and the carpet snake? They're not living in harmony with each other. They keep taking from each other. They keep stealing, and all those the laws which were never to be activated as such or created. And what Bayami, the creator, decided to do was he would turn these men, he would turn them into humans. And this is the next phase. So we go further along, and this is where now we start seeing the human form. And he decided that he would take these two animals and turn them into humans. And when he turned them into humans, these two big, massive men went up from the land up into the sky, and these two big monster men, as such, or druids, as we call them, druids came into the earth world, and they rose up. And Bayami said, in order for this to be settled, you will need to battle each other. And when you battle each other, once this battle starts, it will be, and then it'll be finished up, and then the law will sort of go back to the way it's supposed to be. So Bayami rose Kipandinki and Yuludara. So in our language, Kipandinki's the snake, and Yuludara is the dolphin, and he rose them up into the sky and turned them into men. And one brother, Kipandinki, threw the spear at Yuludara when he was walking away. So he was walking away plainly with his back towards him, and he threw the spear again sneakily, and it hit him into the back. And when he hit him into the back, it created a hole in his back, and all the blood started to flow out. The blood started to flow out of his back, and it started to blow out in a massive, massive amounts, because they were druids and big sky people. So the blood that was coming out started flowing. And then the other brother, as he turned around, he threw his spear at the other brother, and it hit him, and it shattered him, and it turned him into all the golden pieces that we see throughout the sky and on the land. And when the other brother threw the spear at the first brother, the blood which spilt out started to fill the earth world. So all the blood, we believe, was the blood from Yuludara, the brother, which then rose up, which was then, as we go further into time, rose up, which this is the big rising of the flood. So when the water, or the water as such, but it wasn't water, it was blood. And the blood rose up, and it rose up and rose up, and then now it sees where all the salt water was created, because that was the blood of the dolphin, which created all this water within the region and the world that we see today. So that's where, when the land was all connected as one, and everyone was traveling in with each other. So you go back again through time with when the world's created. So we had our First Nations keepers of different lands of the world. We had our First Nations American, First Nations Indian, Asia, all the areas. They all had keepers of their totemic animals and systems also. So that's where we go, and I'll talk further then into where that dreaming connects back into Mount Buffalo, which is here in Australia, which is a very sacred mountain and a sacred nation here in Australia. And from that creation, back when the blood rose, a part of the First Nations land from America was actually taken into Australia, and it never left, and it was created into an axis or a space of portal back to First Nations people within the Native American or Native Indian tribal people.
Wow.
We'll talk. Yeah. So as the blood rose up, so it rose up, and then the golden she oak trees that we see here in Australia, which is one of the main trees. It's the gold. It glistens gold when the sun shines through it, and that resembles the gold and the shimmer of the snake and the color of the golden snake. and we see that shimmering area, and that resembles the gold and the blood that was spilt for the creation of people. And then after that, that was when after then Bayami said, well, I will then turn everyone into the human form, and over time the human race then transitioned through evolution as such. But our dreaming stories are connected through the sacredness of the beginning, that's one of our creation stories, and then they go back through and into the other connections of the stories, all interlining together, with dating then as time went on, with now with the scientists, we're seeing how when the basalt all rose, and then that's where the volcanic before. So I didn't go into the volcano, did I? No, I was supposed to go in that first.
Okay. Actually, Kieron,
lot to remember, I'm sure.
I'll mention something actually, if I can, Kieron, because it matches up, which is interesting. Because my background is a professional prospector, geologist, and I've specialized in catastrophic geology over about the last. Well, I've really studied it the last 20 years or so, I guess.
Sure.
But it's interesting because you mentioned about the matchup of the latest in science, which is true, because they have predicted, and it's on the website. You can look. It's the the Adam and Eve event by Thomas Chan and the Daiho Foundation. And there is an event that happens precisely every 12,068 years. And the way that it's scientifically in these papers, and there's lots of sites about it, your story matches up exactly of what the results were from the catastrophic event, from the micronova burst to how the gold was formed here, because I know about gold a bit too, and as far as the fire, the volcanic activity, how the little glass beads would have gotten there, and just your story, and how the water then entered the situation, and that they go right into the science, and so your stories match up exactly, actually, from what I read in the science papers, from a major catastrophic events that have happened. Yeah.
I have a Nile, excuse me. He's saying this creation story is very similar to all creation mythology, different but ultimately the same. A destruction of one's own family to create the heavens or the earth. That is true. And this, though, it goes back 50,000 years or more. Whereas the other history that we have for other civilizations, I don't even think we've gone back as far as 30,000, have we, Kieron, for sure?
No.
They're all around 11,000 to 15,000.
Yeah. Well, 12,068.
Right, but this is going.
But we do have it documented through the Sumerian tablets, and if you go in that, actually, we have it in Dead Sea Scroll, and different things. I think we go back quite farther now, though, depending what you're looking at.
But this is actually handed down from family to family,
I was
generation
just
to
going to
generation.
say, with Kieron and Australia being very old culture, and different ones in North America, and I talked to you, right, and believe it or not, it's probably the oldest stories, because we're talking the ones that were documented and have some kind of written form. And with that, when your stories, Kieron, and from any of the Aboriginals or Native cultures, like you say, they've been handing them down for thousands of years. Through songs and stories and traveling, and so it just wasn't documented. So you're right; they're probably some of the oldest, I would imagine, of capturing what happened in different cycles of the earth, for sure. It was so accurate what you described, Kieron, from what I read scientifically. I thought, exactly.
Wow. Interesting.
It resonates.
Yeah, it really does.
That happened.
Because Earth is, Australia is solid. It's solid ground. It's what everything else broke away from us.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, that would make sense, because from my understanding of the storylines and the songs, and that Australia is known as the heart of the earth, and that all of the change that we just went through, Kieron, on December 21st, where we just sung the next, or you dreamt in the next age. And apparently that started from Australia and the tribes, and then it goes out throughout the whole world. And you dream into the next, your culture just dreamed in the next age or next long period. And it starts in Australia, always from the heart.
Yeah, there was a ceremony that took place. Well, there was the ceremony that that was interrupted many 1,000 years ago, which was finished up, and in words that we sort of say, we call it a finish up business, where it's literally whatever the business that had to be done could be initiated, and I'm definitely know some people, First Nations custodians that were out there. I myself wasn't out there, just out of respect for the mob or the First Nations people out there. So and my elders, they just asked that we didn't head out there, which is at the end of the day, you listen to your elders. Because
absolutely.
Fully activating space it was that day, and the leading up to it.
So it was the end of a great cycle, then the start of a new one, that just recently happened.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what it was. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I have a question. Just a quick question. How old do you think the Earth is?
How long's a piece of string?
Right?
It's clever.
It could be anything. It could be, there's some people that think it's only, 4,000 years old, and,
my personal belief on that question, I suppose, is how old is it? It's how old you are as a person, because you were birthed into this world maybe now, maybe
that's
before.
The answer I was looking
for.
And
it doesn't, because you could have been here as something else, like a seed or a tree or a plant or an animal or a.
Yep.
So you've always been here, and you can't put a time, because time is the illusion. So.
Right on.
I love it. There's the answer I was looking for.
That resonates.
Sure does.
Yes.
That resonates. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Perfect.
Yeah.
So how do you think what is that connection then with the Americas? I know all of your tribes have a different take on that.
Yeah, so everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, because I shouldn't speak of other, but a lot of First Nations mob in Australia, when I say mob, sort of meaning the clan groupings, there's a lot of story with similarity around the Mount Buffalo region, or Mount Bull, as it was called, sort of in Australia, because the people that were, or the voyagers, or the people that were sort of first surveying the land of Australia back in time, they were told that it was a space that was sacred, and even the First Nations keepers of Australia, the Arang people, they didn't actually name that space to any nation, because it was sacred to the American Indian people. So that's also part of that respect and honoring each other's nations, and where we wouldn't go into someone else's nation unless it was asked. So unless you were asking to go into that nation through respect and through what we would call message sticks and smoking signal, and then you would go through and you would ask the keeper or the gatekeeper, can I come through your country? And then it'd go from there to the next person, can I come through your country? And then so on, and you would bear gifts, and you would bear your respect to that land. So down in Mount Bull,
as how it's known, or Mount Buffalo, which is the real name. But they tried to turn it back to Mount Bull to get people away from it, and like all the like pyramids and things we're seeing throughout the world, they changed it so that, and a lot of the knowledge around it, they'd never try to bring it up, because they knew it was a sacred spot.
Maybe we can show some. We have a couple of pictures we can show of the area.
Yeah, let's share some.
Would that be okay?
Yeah,
it'd be okay to show those.
Yep, definitely.
Let's go back, Lori, to if you can find them. There you go. So
yeah,
this is the southern part of Australia, closest to Tasmania, right? So
sure.
So it's actually across from Tasmania, and takes up a whole coastline. But the actual Mount Buffalo itself is pretty much isolated in Victoria. Is that right, Jules? So the state park and the national park, where all of these sites are actually in Victoria, which is the southern tip of Australia.
Yeah, so that's the bottom of the southeast coast, as we'd call it over here.
That's just beautiful.
And sort of where my people are, we're in the middle. So it's sort of the middle, and you've got the 3 axle points also on the southeast. So Mount Bull, Stradbroke Island, and then the Torres Strait.
Right.
Or up into the Kullilli country, as we call it, which is also the sacred rainforest country.
Right.
Which is in the north of Australia.
Right.
So that's the portal axle hole, like sort of accesses that we have on the east coast. That have been accessed.
Well, that's like a triangle.
Yeah, exactly right. So and it all
triangulated area.
And it all centers around the belly chakra, which is Uluru, which is the rainbow serpents. The rainbow serpent dreaming. So that's when on the 21st, when the crystal box was opened. That was the birthing of the crystals of where Auntie J lives, up in the crystal birthing pools. So that was that same dreaming of it being opened and awoken. And that that country where the Uluru is they're the keepers of the belly heart chakra, or the belly chakra of the world.
Oh my goodness. I have to say something, Kieron, because we've never talked before, never met. And you just mentioned about December 21st, about the crystal box being opened and how that worked. And it was interesting because here at the Crystal Network, which is amazing, and all these women and all these people that you see, including your aunt, we have crystals that we spread out all over the world for 3 years before the event. And one of the main south crystals and a heart, protocardia, ancient heart that I got from the place you said in the States, believe it or not, as a fossil to match up, was sent to one of the elder women. And it was used on that evening to activate the crystal grid that we had laid at the network that you're part of tonight. And it started in Australia on the 21st and went out to New Zealand and around the world, and all to the crystals that were placed right up to almost the Arctic where my birth point was delivered. So this is the Crystal Network, and that was done on the 21st.
Wow.
So
wow.
I can't
there are no accidents here.
I held ceremony space up here at Mount Bippo. So Mount Bippo is it's 65 meters above sea level, and that's where I held ceremony on that day. It's the highest mountain on our side of the coast.
Amazing.
And we walked up for a day and a half.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Lori, do we have the pictures of the cathedral rock?
Yeah, that's the. Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, the other side of it, there's another photo that that's the plateau, and then that's the overlook. That's okay. That's all part of it leading up to it, and then keep going because you'll get the sunrise. Keep going to the next one. There you go. And that is one of the areas. That's
Yeah, so that's
the cathedral.
The cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as it was called.
And then
we
the
call
next
this one Mulunga. Yeah. Mulunga. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the back downhill side of it, which is the believed to have been the celebration area at the base of it. And then to the right, Kieron, do you want to, in the lower right-hand corner, the picture in the right, you'll see an opening. You see the opening? That is believed to lead, next slide, to Stonehenge in America.
What?
This is the American Stonehenge. This is the, goes back, it's not only related to that, but it's also related in a direct alignment with the Phoenicians, if you watch Scott Walter's program. But this is America's Stonehenge, and this is Australia. So they believe there was a connection made that way.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So, yeah, that the Mount Buffalo, or Mount Bull, as it's called here in Australia, connects back to Mount Buffalo back in the States, and that's at the mind the pronunciation, because I'm not First Nations Indian, but it was the Arapaho.
Arapaho?
Yeah. So Red Feather Lakes, the Rocky Mount, that sort of similar area, there was access, and that's the deeper side, which we could talk on. Down in the But there's a lot of the connection. Like I say, I'll go back into Australia. Or down in the Arang country, is like I say, that the nation or the land region wasn't given a name because of it being the First Nations custodians of America. So that was out of that respect and that honoring other First Nations countries and not going into that land. So it was only when they came back through this access or this portal space where they accessed it for ceremony. And there's stories and songlines of very sacred, the very, very sacred keepers, and we call them the Kradaichas. And the Kradaicha, or they're like the Druid also. So they're like the scary people, you could say. Or well, they're supposed to be as a kid. You're supposed to, that's what all your family, you get told all these stories, and as you get older you realize that so it's part of that country was the Buffalo people, and that country was given, there was ceremony that happened up on that mountain, and only the very, very elite and the highest realm, so people now, for instance, sitting in this fifth dimension, because we've come out of fourth dimension into fifth dimension. Those are the people that could access this energy portal and then use that access to transcend back to the other countries. And through the verbal knowledge, I've been told that this ceremony happened all the way till the 70s. So it's only 30, 40 years ago that it stopped when they started mining it. So they desecrated the land here in Australia, and there's the access or the connectivity, or where the leylands all connect through that accessible point. They've been disrupted and they're a little bit jagged now, and it's not fully ignited as such. So we see a lot of that in Australia also, where the sacred ceremonial spots where these portal accesses or these access points to go into the higher realm are being destroyed. So we had the main one where I live destroyed by mining, and
we're changing that though, Kieron.
We're changing that.
Good.
We are that. We are that.
Yeah.
We are the crystalline
One
grid.
human
We
at
are
a
the
time.
Yeah.
We are the
It's
crystalline
interesting.
grid.
We are.
Yeah, that's right.
We're
Kieron, when you
transcending those blockages with our
That's right.
own crystalline energies. Yeah.
That's right.
The other
That's
thing,
exactly,
Kieron, when you were just mentioning something, I just saw something that I'd seen a long time ago, but you reminded me, I just saw a vision of like, because you had mentioned the ley lines and talked about the crystalline grid and the natural grid that we used to have in, say, the fifth dimension. And and we talked about the catastrophic events that happen every, so many thousands of years, like clockwork, or that can happen to change. And I just thought that at one time, one of those catastrophic events destroyed our crystalline grid that kept us in a certain frequency or vibration, which would have been higher dimensions. And this is what we fell to the third dimension where we reside now. And it was a broken crystalline grid pattern, but there's still sections that are very powerful, like under the Camino Trail and sections of Australia. But so we could still use them to move along, right, in dream time and real time. But you're right. So with mining and further exploration and nuclear and blowing up, we're destroying what's the remnants of our sacred grid line that gave us that power. So I guess we're destroying it even more. That's what I'm gathering.
But that's it. If you can tap into it, with all the destruction and the craziness within the world, that's also that, like I say, interlining that grid and keeping it solid. Because if, like I say, it happens and it's on the outside, but if you just stay focused on the inside work and all the more positive, when it comes to the deeper conversation, because that's that layery, surfacey business that happens everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But it's the people that we sit here today and share with that we can keep it all interlocked and
it's through our frequencies that we've created the detours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
And reconnection points.
Yeah.
Or it could be that we're attracted to certain areas or sections where the grid has more power, certain connections and vortexes. There's certain areas throughout the whole world that have more, frequencies or energies that are more conducive and stronger. So, I think we're actually attracted to certain areas energetically as well because of that.
Yeah. I love the city. I'll never be looking back. I love it out here in the mountains, in the creeks, and the woods, and the hills, and the fresh air, and you can hang your laundry out and smell the air in your clothes, and I'll stay here.
just where I am. Hey, Kieron, it is the birthing pools, and it is called Mary's Creek, and we know what the significance of Mary is. The whole creation story.
Like
it is
Auntie
a special
Jules and
spot.
I were going through that map. Hey, it's that's the beginning of the creation up there in a way. That's where it all sort of went. That birthing pool is where the snake laid one of her eggs pretty well. That's so it's because and also the gift of the snake being an egg bearer compared to any other. Like that. Mm-hmm. Snakes don't usually bear eggs until you're in Tasmania.
Right.
They bear eggs.
Right. And then the significance of the jasper too, and the red, and what, with jasper, like a bloodstone, and supreme nurturer, and the red. Very significant.
Red for blood.
And water, right? You got the water with it, and the streams, right? You got the water combined with that.
And
the flow.
Also the bopple, we were talking bopple, Kieron. The bopple nut, which is actually the macadamia nut. It is the area that tree. This is the area where I am. It originates from as such because it's called bopple. And what's the story with bopple, Kieron?
Yeah, so that goes back into the bobble dreaming with the creation with Kipindinki and Yuladara, because when the heart sort of finished flowing out all the blood, the Kradaicha man decided that he would land the heart in Poonah, or Poonah as it's known now here in Australia, and they and they planted my name, and which is the heart of the dolphin also, and the bloodwood tree. So it takes, because it's the blood. So it's the creation from the dolphin, the tree, and the blood. So that's where I've been given my name, from that dreaming.
Told you, Jules. I was a dolphin in a tree. There you go. I've had the vision. I tell you.
I haven't. I've never gone into being the dolphin, but I have a dolphin that's actually above my bed, and it's been there since we moved to Mary's Creek. It's actually all dolphins floating through the sea, through the ether. They're not in the water; they're just in the ether. And then I've got crystal ball holders that hold your crystal ball of dolphins.
Yeah.
I've got several dolphin things around, but I resonate more with the creation of the tree part. But the dolphins are significant in my house, which I've only just realized that now in this story.
See, you hear these things and you get something. You get something new every time.
Another layer. It's
another layer.
All these layers, you know. Yeah. But the going back to the bopple or the macadamia nut, down we have the Eel Creek and Mary's Creek flowing together, and on actual Eel Creek there was one of the original macadamia nuts on that creek. And it's been washed away now, because most of them now are being mucked around with, but it was one of them. And I have been up in our Mary's Creek when I've gone walking, and I'll look down and there's actual macadamia nuts in the creek, but I can't find the tree, so there must be ones further up that have washed down to where I'm standing, sort of thing. There's a lot of native trees up there, even though they've turned it into a forest tree of pine trees. But there is still a lot of natives up there. So
that's where when the heart landed then, and it landed in Poonah, they planted the Gympie leaf. So that's what the name of the town is up there. So the Gympie leaf, which is the stinging nettle. Here in Australia, it's one of the most dangerous nettles in Australia. It's killed a lot of people, to be honest.
Toxic,
through time, and it was to protect the heart. It was the protector of the heart, because if you were to swim in that lake, you would be cursed. And that's why they planted them all around the lake as such. But and that's part of the dreaming of why Gympie got its name, from the Gympie leaf, back to the heart of the dolphin, back to the dreaming of the Kipundiki and Yuladara. So it's sort of, if you take the timelines back, it all connects back to now again. And the places where all the areas of in Australia are.
There is an antidote for the Gympie, and it's a water lily. It often actually is in the creeks not far from where the Gympie's growing.
Because that's part of Australia, the Australian bush. Anything that you get stung with or bitten by, there's always something around to counteract it.
That's right. Mother Nature gives you everything.
Yeah.
Mother Nature,
every
you just gotta find it.
That's right.
We'll have poison ivy, but we have the jewel weed growing right next to it. So you can make a salve with the jewel weed next to the poison ivy.
Of course, you would find a jewel weed that would be able to fix you.
It's true.
Look at the word, as I say, look at the word weed. It is we past tense.
Yes.
I just have to break in for just a second to remind our team it's now 10:10. So we're 10 minutes over, and I know that we want to probably wrap this up out of respect for other shows that are coming on, and I'm hoping Kieron will come back and do part two. Kieron, can you come back and do part two sometime?
Yeah, I'd love
sometime.
Oh, please, yes. We have so many questions.
I have got a part two when you're finished.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead, Jules. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Kieron, are you done, Kieron? So that.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Jules.
Righto. I wrote this one specially, obviously.
Oh, wonderful.
Just got to get it off modern technology. The earth she is a calling, a seed to unite. The earth she is a singing, uncoil sun so bright. For the energy has changed as we receive her rain. She has ramped up a notch, twists our louder links and chain. This activation deep within her roots, all of this knowing is in us, now shoots. Our connection to country, to nature, the trees, listen to them speak, the music in the breeze, BR at ease. The old root lines, once dug and drilled, the cellular memory now opened and thrilled. Plasma resin, amber 2, blood iron, crystal, magnetic U. Streams, current sea, night and day, access information. Enjoy, play. Elementals, chemistry, the flowers, her bee, she heals thee. For the collective, we are here now. Remember the story. Our gifts branch out and bow.
Very nice.
Oh,
Beautiful, Jules, as usual.
Lovely, lovely.
Good night,
I
Robert
always just
B.
feel like
Robert has to go to bed.
Good night, Robert B.
Good
Good night, Robert.
Thank you
All right,
all.
you guys. Yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. This has just been an absolute pleasure and honor. And I think that if we do a part 2, which that would be amazing, we should just have some questions, because I think we all have so many questions. So
Yes.
we, go into asking more about those things. So we appreciate you honoring us with your time and your energy and your gifts and talents. And we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We hope you really enjoyed it. Let us know what you think. Leave us an email, and also go to the Crystal Quartz Network and look through and see about the stories. And I believe you also have, there's a spot in the Crystal Quartz Network where you can find Kieron's information on his business.
Absolutely.
And that link is in the description for you folks.
Yeah, we just showed it a little while ago. So
and he's doing a dinner soon, aren't you? So just slip through that portal and turn up at his dinner.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So Friday night we've got Esoteric Egypt with NEXT from Adept Expeditions. He couldn't make it last week, so he's coming on with Dalibor and Kieron, I hope, as well, this Friday evening to continue part 2 of our discussion, getting in a little bit deeper into the pyramids, not only here in South America and Egypt, the connection there between that architecture. So we've got that coming up on Friday night. And Kieron, thank you so much for everything.
Most definitely. Thank you.
And Kieron Kasparov, thank you for getting all of his information in the past 2 days. Or she really got it in there and made that happen. And we added on a section for some others as well. So take a look at the website. Maybe if we have some time Friday, we can go over that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The other additions that have been made. But we got Slightly Slanted Steve Sleuth is in there, and Michelle Cannon Free has been added
Trina.
with her video. Trina,
just everybody.
Yeah, just everybody's just shoved in there.
I just have to look at a whole video section, and just everything's new.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kieron, for that.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
All right, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
All right,
Peace,
guys.
everyone.
See you Friday. Love y'all.